Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take, well, a whole stack of information, cut through all the noise, and really give you the concise, impactful knowledge you need.
Get you informed quickly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Today we're diving into a couple of terms that honestly get confused all the time. They get mashed together, but they're actually pretty different things in product design, UI and UX, user interface versus user experience.
Yeah, right.
And you know, this deep dive feels important because everyone kind of throws these letters around, these acronyms, but really getting the difference and maybe even more importantly, understanding why having them work together smoothly is like the secret sauce for great products. Well, that's a game changer.
Okay.
So our mission today is really to go past just defining them.
Yeah.
We want to look at what happens in the real world when you get this balance right or, you know, really wrong.
Okay, let's unpack that right away then. Before we get into the examples and the ways things can fail, we should probably start right at the foundation. When we say UI, what is that?
Right. UI is, well, it's strictly about the visual stuff and how the functional bits look. If you can see it or touch it or click on it, that's the user interface.
Okay. The tangible part.
Exactly. You could almost look at the UI team as like the interior designers for a digital product. They figure out the look, the brand feel, the colors, the font,
Typography, yeah.
the typography, how responsive things are, you know, the buttons, sliders, how the screen's laid out. UI is focused on making it look good and making it clear where you should click or tap.
So it's about the aesthetics, the immediate points you interact with.
Pretty much, it's that surface layer.
Okay, so if UI is that immediate sensory stuff, the look, the direct controls, then UX, user experience, that sounds like it must be something broader, less tangible maybe.
That's exactly it. If UI is the paint job and the dashboard knobs, UX is kind of the whole architectural plan for the journey. It shifts the question from what does it look like to how does it feel to use and does it actually work well?
Okay, the feeling.
Yeah. UX is all about making the whole process simpler, reducing how much you have to think that cognitive load, making things efficient.
Right.
And just making sure you, the user, can do what you set out to do without hitting roadblocks. A UX designer maps out the entire flow. How many clicks does this take? Is the order logical? Does it guess what I might need next?
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So like the simplest way to boil it down might be UI is how the elements look and are presented. And UX is the whole journey, the process, and whether you felt good or maybe just successful when you finished whatever you were doing.
That's a great way to put it. One's about the snapshot, the immediate moment. The other's about the whole timeline of using it. It's like judging a book by its cover, that's UI.
Right.
Versus judging it by how easy it is to read, how well the story flows, the emotional hit, that's the UX.
Okay, I think the definitions are getting clearer, but the stuff we looked at had some really good kind of concrete real-world analogies that help make this stick. Let's talk about the coffee machine one first.
Okay.
That really made it click for me.
Oh yeah, the coffee machine is perfect because it shows how we interact with this stuff constantly without even thinking, oh, that's UI, that's UX.
Right.
So you've got this fancy coffee machine, maybe on your kitchen counter. The UI is definitely the physical controls you see, right? The sleek little screen, maybe colorful icons for latte or espresso.
The feel of the buttons when you press them.
Yeah, exactly. The feel, maybe even the shiny finish on the machine, that's all UI.
But the UX,
Yeah.
that's everything else surrounding that interaction. It's the whole experience. Like, does the water tank slide out easily? Does it spill? If I press latte, but the milk frother is empty, does it tell me before it tries to make it?
Yes. How fast does it actually make the coffee? And like fundamentally, does it give me a good cup of coffee without needing a PhD in engineering to figure it out?
Right, without digging out the manual every single time.
Exactly. So imagine that machine looks absolutely stunning, top tier UI, wins awards maybe, but making coffee involves, I don't know, 5 confusing steps, or the water tank always drips, then the UX is terrible.
Yeah.
That beautiful interface, the great UI, has actually made your morning worse because the process underneath it all is just broken.
Huh. That's interesting. The beauty itself makes it more frustrating if the process sucks.
Okay. Let's scale this up. What about something more complex, like a car?
The car analogy is great too, because now we're talking safety critical functions. It matters more.
Yeah, definitely.
So the UI inside your car, well, that's the dashboard design. The specific fonts and colors on the digital display, where they put the volume knob, what it feels like to turn. Even like the stitching on the steering wheel is arguably part of the UI.
Okay, tangible stuff again. And the UX, that's got to be about feeling in control easily without stress.
Absolutely. The UX is how intuitively you can change the temperature without taking your eyes off the road for too long.
Right.
How simple is it to pair your phone via Bluetooth? Does the steering wheel vibrate gently if you start drifting out of your lane? That's UX working for you.
You might have a huge, beautiful touchscreen, great UI, looks amazing. But if you have to tap through 4 different menus just to turn on the heated seats.
Which you definitely don't want to be doing while driving.
Exactly. That's terrible UX. It increases your mental load, makes things less safe, even though the screen itself looks fantastic.
That connection to cognitive load, to how much you have to think, that seems really key for UX. It's not just easy, it's effortless.
Precisely. The best UX minimizes the brain power you need to spend to get something done. It feels natural.
Okay. And this brings us right to why these two things are just completely linked. You know, the experts we read called them two sides of the same coin. You really can't just focus on one and expect success.
That is the crucial takeaway, yeah. If you look at product that fail, design failures, it's almost always because this balance is off.
One side is way heavier than the other.
Right. And looking at those failures is actually super useful. It shows exactly where the priorities went wrong. So let's break down that first failure type. Amazing UI, but the UX is just bad.
Yeah.
This is the product that looks incredible. Maybe it even wins design awards for how it looks. But using it is just an exercise in frustration. The outcome is beautiful but confusing.
Oh, definitely. Think back to maybe some early websites, really stylized ones. They looked gorgeous. Maybe it had cool animations or weird navigation menus.
Yeah, I remember those flashlights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The visual presentation was top-notch. But trying to find something simple, like the Contact Us page, felt like solving a puzzle.
Or it took forever to load because of all the graphics.
Right, the graphics slowed it down. Maybe the custom icons didn't actually communicate what they did. You end up with something stunning to look at, but the actual workflow, the process, the UX is just fundamentally broken. The pretty looks can't save a bad experience. Okay, but let me push back on that just a little. In today's world, everything's so crowded online. Isn't a beautiful UI always better than something that looks, well, bland? If the process basically works, if the core UX is functional, why spend extra time and money making it look delightful? Isn't that just vanity?
That's a really good practical question. And it gets at the difference between just utility and actual engagement.
Oh.
So yeah, functionality doesn't do the job. That's the bedrock of UX. But a good UI, an effective UI, that's what grabs people, keeps them engaged, and crucially makes them stick around. Retention.
So they don't jump ship.
Exactly. A system that's purely functional might meet a need, sure. But if the interface is boring or cluttered or just looks dated, users don't really form an emotional connection.
Right.
And the second a competitor comes along with something that does the same job but looks cleaner, feels more intuitive, poof, they're gone. Okay, that makes sense. Which leads us perfectly into the other failure state, the opposite problem. Great UX, the process is smooth, logical, but the UI is just meh. The result is something that feels logical but boring. This is that system that works like a dream, technically. It's efficient, it's logical, but nobody actually wants to use it.
Like old company software?
That's the classic example, legacy enterprise software. It might manage incredibly complex data perfectly, total efficiency, pure logic, but the screen looks like a spreadsheet from, 1998.
Yeah, walls of text and tiny buttons.
Exactly. The workflow, the UX, might be technically optimized, but the visual interface, the UI, is just unengaging. It might even feel intimidating. It doesn't visually guide you or make you feel confident.
So even if the underlying engine is great.
Right. That solid functionality, the great UX, it needs an effective visual presentation, the UI, to build trust, make it feel less scary to start using, and frankly, make people want to come back and use it again.
And this is where, the business side comes in too. It's not just about happy users. It directly hits the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way to kind of quantify that impact?
Oh, absolutely. The business case for getting UX and UI working together seamlessly is huge. It's undeniable. Think about online shopping, e-commerce.
Okay.
Research shows again and again that even a 1-second delay in how fast a page loads can cause a big drop in people actually buying something.
Right.
Like 7% or even more sometimes.
Wow, 1 second.
Yeah, that's often a UX failure related to performance. Or think about mobile apps. Other data suggests something like 90% of people who have a bad first experience with an app just won't use it again. Ever.
Ouch.
And that bad experience. It's usually because the UI elements are confusing or don't respond well, messing up what should be a simple UX flow. So yeah, it's not just about looking pretty, it's about making money by getting rid of that friction.
Removing friction equals profit. The numbers really don't lie there.
So that magic moment, like the materials we looked at said, is when you get that perfect synthesis. The magic happens when both work together seamlessly.
Right.
When they're perfectly aligned, you, the user, you aren't even thinking about the design choices. You're just doing your thing effortlessly, happily. The whole product just feels intuitive. Okay, so if we just quickly recap what we've dug into here. UI is the visual stuff, the tactile presentation, buttons, colors, fonts, what you see and touch.
And UX is the whole process, the result. How efficient was it? How simple? How satisfied did you feel?
Yeah, the overall journey and feeling.
And the really critical piece of knowledge is that UI has to serve the goals of the UX. You need both. Otherwise, the product either looks great but doesn't work well.
The beautiful flop.
Or it works perfectly but nobody wants to touch it.
The logical bore. Exactly.
Right.
And, that brings us to the final thought we wanted to leave you with based on all this. If great UX is really defined by that simplicity, that efficiency, think about the tools and systems you use every single day.
Like in your own life.
Yeah, maybe it's a really simple app on your phone that just works. Or maybe it's that high-end car we talked about, where the controls feel just right. When does a tool give you that feeling of near-perfect satisfaction?
And going back to the car example, sometimes the best UX design is almost invisible, right? Because the interface just works exactly how your brain expects it to. You don't even notice it.
That's it exactly. How much of that success, that feeling of, joy of use or just effortless control, how much of that is down to an interface you don't even consciously register? What everyday object gives you that feeling, proving that the visual part, the UI, and the underlying experience, the UX, are working together in this really powerful, seamless way? That invisibility, that's kind of the ultimate goal.
The sign, they got it right.
Yeah, it's what separates a product that's just okay from one that's truly world-class.
Yeah.
Maybe think about where you experience that invisibility next time you use. Well, anything designed. Software, a tool, a machine. It's fascinating when you start noticing it. Or rather, noticing when you don't notice it.